Welcome to the Be Engaged and Inspired Wedding Podcast.
A simple warning. We know many of you are planning a wedding right now. We may be tempted to drop an F-bomb or other descriptive words. Keep this in mind if you have small children in the room or are on a Zoom call. You've been warned.
The Be Engaged and Inspired Wedding Podcast.
Let's be honest, planning a wedding is tricky. And at Be Engaged and Inspired, we'll share our knowledge to help you navigate these tricky waters and leaving you feeling inspired.
The Be Engaged and Inspired Wedding Podcast is sponsored by EasyEventPlanning.com. They make planning any event fast and easy. EasyEventPlanning.com. And now your hosts, Kia and DJ Sam.
Welcome to the Be Engaged and Inspired the Wedding Podcast. DJ Sam from Atmosphere Productions.
And Kia from Engage, Connecticut. So Sam, typically I let you go first with inspiration, but I feel like I follow it up with the 1913 Don'ts for Wives, and I bring the episode to a somber end very quickly.
But we're going to change it up.
Yeah, so I'm going to give my 1913's tip, and then you're going to bring inspiration that gives us still hope that love exists.
Keep your fingers crossed, folks.
Yes. So, don't moralize by the way of winning back the love that seems to be waning. Make yourself extra charming and arrange delicious dinners, which include all of your husband's favorite dishes.
I think that's something to live by. Not.
Yeah, no.
Again, this tip is for a lady in 1913, just got married.
And
obviously, she's not going out to work.
Nope.
Because she's got to cook and do everything by the time.
I mean, and she also has to win him back and be charming literally right after getting married.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So it must have been hard back then.
Oh, yeah.
Life must have been hard back then. And here's your wedding inspiration that will bring you back up. Can I picture us in old age conquering the world like we've got young blood running in our veins?
There'll be blood running somewhere, and that'll become an A&E crime podcast.
Poets Rupi Kaur.
Okay. Well,
Very nice.
It's Wednesday.
So,
obviously,
what does that mean?
Our Wednesday wedding tip, which you can find on Facebook, is sponsored by
Emerge Cosmetics. And we invite you to please go to our Facebook page, Be Engaged and Inspired group page on, obviously, Facebook.
Yep.
And go there. It's free.
Wedding Tip Wednesday is brought to you by Emerge Cosmetics. Are you ready to emerge? A new line of luxurious lipsticks and lip glosses created with the intention of empowerment and coming into who you truly are. Strong, beautiful, and confident. Use the Be Engaged and Inspired Wedding Podcast coupon code EBI10 at shopemergecosmetics.com for an instant 10% discount. That's coupon code EBI10 for 10% discount at shopemergecosmetics.com. Emerge as the true you.
Hey, Sam, when it comes to finding the right professional vendor, it can seem overwhelming to know where to start.
It can, Kia, unless you use EasyEventPlanning.com, because they'll find perfect vendors for your event within your budget and deliver them right to your inbox. You can search through over 28 categories of party and wedding services. Get the details you need to narrow down your choices quickly with their category-specific profiles. Chat with vendors via text, audio, or video from any device.
EasyEventPlanning.com will make planning your wedding or event easy, from their extensive vendor directory to their free tips on favors, decorations, themes, and more. Contact them today at EasyEventPlanning.com.
Help us out. Make a donation now to help support this podcast. Please go to our anchor.fm profile, click Support This Podcast at the top of the page, or use the link in the show notes of this episode, or go to the Atmosphere Productions business profile on Venmo. Thank you for making a donation and helping support this podcast.
You're listening to the Be Engaged and Inspired Wedding Podcast.
Now syndicated on the Wedding Talk channel on YouShook.com radio network, America's radio station.
Today's Wedding Tip Wednesday is noise ordinances.
It's such a key point.
Say that quickly. You have to make sure that if you're having a backyard or outdoor wedding, even if it's at a facility, you should be aware of the noise ordinances for that particular town that you're in.
Absolutely.
Because they are very important. You don't want your DJ blasting at 120 decibels and only to find out that the decibel level is only 70 and he's got to shut everything down at 7:30.
And the other thing to realize is in some towns, even if they don't have a noise ordinance written onto paperwork, there's a courtesy part of this too.
Yep.
I know that you want to party. I know that your wedding's important. But at 1 a.m., like Sam, you just have to knock it off.
Today's Wedding Tip Wednesday is brought to you by good folks over at Emerge Cosmetics. Don't forget to use the Be Engaged and Inspired Wedding Podcast coupon code EBI10 at shopemergecosmetics.com for an instant 10% discount on their lipsticks and lip gloss. That's coupon code EBI10 from Shop Emerge Cosmetics. 10% discount. Emerge as the true you.
So I feel like you picked that wedding tip because you knew we were going to be discussing rules and regulations from your backyards to your venues and everything else.
Well, you know, we don't just chuck this podcast together. There is
I
days and hours of planning that goes into these things.
I literally am in my pajamas.
And that's why we don't do video of this
Exactly.
podcast, ladies
But I'll
and
just show
gentlemen.
it to you. So I'll just show you that these are my pajama pants. Okay. I just rolled out of bed. This is information that you and I know very well.
Yes, yes. So one of the things that, in fact, you know what?
What triggered this?
Yes. So what prompted this was an article in the New York Post that was shared on a DJ forum. And I'm not going to read the whole thing, but the basics of this was, should I even mention the hotel? No, I don't want to get sued. A New York couple's dream wedding destroyed by hotel's noise restriction. They filed a $5 million lawsuit. So basically the story is very wealthy couple in New York booked out this entire hotel to do a big...
They didn't book out the entire hotel.
No, that's right. That's absolutely, that's right. They didn't book out the entire hotel. They booked out at least a couple of rooms because they had at least $150,000 worth of flowers that they wanted to display in the main wedding room. Come to find out, once the dancing started, the facility shut everything down and moved the entire wedding to like a basement room that could only hold 50 people. And there was an uproar on the forums, the DJ forums, on firstly how the hotel was able to do this, but secondly, why the DJ hadn't checked this out in advance, because that's one of our jobs to make sure that...
Why hadn't the couple checked this out? Why hadn't their wedding planner checked this out? Why hadn't all of those...
According to the article, was that after they booked it, the noise ordinance went in effect. So,
but then they should have been followed. So in the couple's defense, the venue should have sent them a message that said, allowing you to know that this is happening. This is not something out of our control, but this is going to be happening.
Yep.
They literally probably had 10 or 20 meetings.
Oh, they must have.
They must have. So now here's the question of, is the $5 million an appropriate response? And how much did they not listen to the things? Because I've been the person who sometimes has been like, yeah, we're gonna go do that, and then we'll apologize after instead of asking for permission.
Yeah.
And in my defense, it was a horrible construction orange netting thing. So I cut it and dropped it to the ground, and then as soon as the ceremony was over, I put it right back up and I zip tied everything in. So in my defense, because I didn't want orange construction tape behind their ceremony spot.
Right.
But this is the thing: the rules and the regulations. I'm sure there's faults on both ends. Surely. I don't know that it's $5 million worth of faults on things on both ends.
But it's going to be some million.
Somebody.
Oh, yeah.
And so now it's going to come back to who said what. Did you understand what was read, what was not?
Right.
So I know in our venue contracts, we state to people that if there are rules and regulations. So towns have town meetings, I don't know if people know this.
Once a week?
Yeah, once a week. If you are not part of your local politics, they're probably meeting once a week. And sometimes they're making decisions.
Oh, yeah.
And those decisions end up impacting the businesses, your home, wherever you're getting married.
Yep.
It doesn't mean that you are necessarily obligated into all of it, but it is something that you should ask. If you're getting married in your town, I know in some towns, a town that Sam lives in, I don't want anybody stalking you, so I won't say where you live. But in that town, if you are having a party and you're having lots of people gather on the street, there's certain streets you can park on, and you have to let the town know.
Yep.
And if you don't, the town won't necessarily shut you down, but they can ticket literally every single guest.
Yep. And sometimes they tell you which side of the street you should park on in order to make it safe for
other people to move through.
Yep. Yep.
Some towns have the noise ordinances.
That's the big one.
That's the big one.
Yeah.
Because the issue is Sam is great. He plays music, but he plays it too loud. And no, I'm kidding.
Always.
But some places say you can only have live music, not necessarily DJ music, but only live music to a certain point in time. Because live music carries differently. Then you can have DJ music, and then you have to come down to a different decibel level. And can you tell us what a decibel level is?
It's the sound wave on a graph, and there is on the graphic lines there is a levels. There are levels called dBs, and I think 70 is what most towns, 70 or 90 is what most.
Which is
towns,
like the sound of like a car driving by, type of like a truck.
It's unbelievably quiet, believe it or not. Most of us damage our ears when we listen to music with the headphones on because it's way too loud.
I just watch Sam replace his hearing aid little battery.
That's a cost of doing business. The sound level carries. It may sound nice and quiet right here where you're standing next to the speaker, but you go 200 feet to the next door neighbors across the fence and down the valley, and that music carries, and it sounds...
And depending on where, if you're getting married on top of a valley, in a valley, wherever, that all is different.
Boom, boom, boom is all you hear. You don't hear any vocals or anything because they don't carry, but that bass carries. So
I always use it as like, do you remember as a kid and probably as an adult when you're like sneaking downstairs to get something and you hit every single thing and it makes the most noise in the entire house because everything else around you is quiet.
And that's the reason why towns do it. So noise ordinances, if you're having an outdoor event, the sound is going to be so important. You don't want to ruin your entire wedding by having the cops come by because all it takes is one neighbor, to
sometimes
do that.
two.
And there's an interesting story that I'll tell you when we come back after our little break about noise at a wedding ceremony.
Each week, the Be Engaged and Inspired Wedding podcast posts a new episode sharing wedding tips, knowledge, and speaking with wedding experts, all as a chance to help you navigate your way through planning your own wedding. Have a topic you want us to cover? Want to send us a message? Email us at engagedct@gmail.com, go to the Be Engaged and Inspired Wedding Podcast Facebook group page, or on anchor.fm and select message. Your message will be recorded and may be aired on a future episode.
The Be Engaged and Inspired Wedding podcast will be right back.
Honey Fund, the world's #1 wedding registry. Honey Fund helps real couples realize their wedding and honeymoon dreams. Honey Fund's #1 online wedding gift registry makes it easy to give and receive the perfect wedding gift, one that reflects the couple's unique style and makes giving fun for the wedding guest. As the world's most popular crowdfunding site for weddings, honeymoons, and more, Honey Fund has helped hundreds of thousands of couples make their wedding dreams come true with an easy-to-use funding platform. Honey Fund, a gift card wedding registry that's as flexible as cash. Use the Be Engaged and Inspired Wedding podcast link in the show notes or visit atmosphere-productions.com. Select the podcast link and click on the Honey Fund banner. That's atmosphere-productions.com. Select the podcast link and click on the Honey Fund banner.
Meadowbrook Estates and Mansion is located in Marlborough, Connecticut, perfectly situated between New York City and Boston. Our one-of-a-kind 10,500 square foot venue offers lodging for up to 30 guests and a stunning ballroom for intimate weddings. Looking to host a larger event? We have a gorgeous outside setting right next to our heated pool and small rambling brook. Contact us at Engage Connecticut for more details.
Dollar Tree is the nation's #1 destination for value shopping. All of their stores are well lit and crammed with all kinds of hidden treasures. Dollar Tree offers a plethora of merchandise that includes many national and regionally trusted brands. It doesn't matter if you're looking for housewares, dinnerware, candy, snacks, stationery, or holiday needs. You're going to find it at Dollar Tree. You can shop at your hometown store or shop online for exclusive offers, manufacturer closeouts, watch videos, and join their Value Seekers Club. On top of all that, you can have your order shipped for free directly to your local store. To visit DollarTree.com, click on the link in the show notes to let them know we sent you. Doing so helps keep our podcast going. Dollar Tree.
Let Here to the Moon Travel be your go-to specialist to avoid the headaches and stress of planning your trip. Hi, this is Michelle from Here to the Moon Travel. You can find us at heretothemoontravel.com. Travel and customer service is my passion, and having a one-on-one relationship is something that a virtual site really cannot provide. We are your personal booking resource for all your travel needs. We can assist with anything from your honeymoon, destination wedding, luxury travel, group, family, or corporate travel, and so much more. HereToTheMoonTravel.com.
Hey, Aaron Miller here from Aaron Miller Photography.
I'm Michelle from Destination Weddings Unlimited.
This is Marty Q.
I'm Donna from Creative Cakes by Donna, and I listen every week.
You should tell an engaged friend.
And I always listen to DJ Sam and Kia
on the Be Engaged and Inspired podcast. Jeff Ladd here from Tire Biter and Jeff Ladd DJ Plus.
This is Christina Wesley from La Femme Boudoir Photography.
Tell an engaged friend or somebody planning an event.
I'm Lauren Simpson from LA Page Makeup, and I listen every week for the great tips and suggestions.
You should tell an engaged friend.
Every single Wednesday. And you know what? It's free.
Free on iTunes and Google Podcasts. I suggest you listen to.
you should listen to.
Emerge Cosmetics. Are you ready to emerge?
I love this lipstick. I'm super picky about how a lipstick feels. Most are either too dry feeling or feel like you've oiled your lips. This not only felt great, but lasted and looked great hours later. The color Angelina is perfection, a must-have in my collection.
This is Lauren Simpson from Emerge Cosmetics, a professional makeup artist with over a decade of experience in the beauty industry. That's the reaction we're getting from our new line of carefully curated lip products that wear well and feel comfortable. These are a must-have for your collection. All products are made in the USA, cruelty-free, gluten-free, and most are vegan. Shop emergecosmetics.com for lipsticks and lip glosses that not only feel great, but last for hours in an array of different colors. Free shipping on orders over $100. Use the Be Engaged and Inspired Wedding Podcast coupon code EBI10 at shopemergecosmetics.com for an instant 10% discount. That's coupon code EBI10 for 10% discount at shopemergecosmetics.com. Emerge as the true you.
When your wedding entertainment has to have amazing music, be fun, organized, and professional, your choice has to be Atmosphere Productions. DJs, live musicians, custom lighting, and photo booths. As seen on the TLC TV series 4 Weddings, winner of the Wedding Wire Couples Choice Award and DJ Times DJ of the Month. Experience the difference. www.atmosphere-productions.com. That's www.atmosphere-productions.com.
Engage CT offers couples the opportunity to work with experienced wedding planners, one-of-a-kind wedding venues, along with design and wedding rentals. We plan real weddings for real couples. Located in West Hartford, serving all New England, look us up on Facebook and Instagram under Engage CT and www.engagect.com.
Everyone is talking about the DJ Pauly Show on YouShook.com.
Hi, everyone. This is Keith Urban, and you're listening to the number one DJ on the planet, DJ Pauly.
What's going on, everybody? This is Charles,
Hillary,
and Dave, and we are
Lady Antebellum.
And you're listening to the number one DJ on the internet. It's DJ Pauly, y'all.
Hey, y'all. I'm Kelsey Ballerini, and you're listening to the number one DJ on the internet. It's DJ Pauly, y'all.
The DJ Pauly Show on YouShook.com. We dare to be different. Join us and see for yourselves.
Join us next week on the Be Engaged and Inspired Wedding Podcast, and DJ Sam and Kia will be here to talk about
the day of coordinating and the full planning coordinating with pros and amateurs.
Yeah, she's going to give you everything, ladies and gentlemen, right here on the Be Engaged and Inspired Wedding Podcast, now syndicated on the Wedding Talk channel on YouShook.com radio, America's radio station.
Now back to the Be Engaged and Inspired Wedding Podcast, sponsored by EasyEventPlanning.com. They make planning any event fast and easy. EasyEventPlanning.com. With your hosts, Kia and DJ Sam.
Welcome back to the Be Engaged and Inspired the Wedding Podcast. We're doing a quick episode on rules and regulations surrounding sound and noise ordinances,
and
primarily, but a few others. This episode could go on for about 2 hours, all the different rules and regulations that you need. But one of the interesting things I've seen on the internet in forums, and you know me, I don't look at forums that often. There was a forum post where a bride, somebody was telling the story of the bride going to all her neighbors and putting a little note. Please, on Saturday at 3 o'clock, we're having a wedding ceremony and party. Although you're not invited, we do ask that at 3 o'clock, you do please be quiet. And then the person posting it said that she gave the next door neighbor who pulled out his lawnmower at 2:55 to mow his lawn 2 thumbs up. Because it is unreasonable to not invite your neighbors and then tell them that they have to be quiet at their own property at a certain time.
It's one of those things I always say is if you're in a neighborhood, it is something that you should do it the day before.
Yep.
Or even the morning of.
Or I would say a month before, and then Oh, no. No, why not a month before?
So in some neighborhoods, we have things that are called Karens and everybody else who may attempt to go to the town and cause issues beforehand.
Good point.
This is the, like, ask for forgiveness instead of permission.
Good point.
So that if you go the day before or the morning of and somebody goes, and I always say, like, add a cute little cookie or something else, whatever, like a wedding favor that you got an extra of, pop it into their mailbox. That basically just says, hey, we're having a wedding today. This is not going to be a normal occurrence. Please understand, our plan is to be over at such and such time. Thank you so much.
Exactly.
Because if you go earlier...
You got a good point there.
There are people who have nothing else to do with their lives. I wish I have things I could give them to do, like literally right now. But it's one of those things where mentally, like, somebody can build that up, especially if they're not invited. And we don't live in a culture anymore where you necessarily know every single neighbor.
No, you don't.
We don't have block parties. We don't have those things. So it is an appropriate thing to do the day before. Basically, that groomsman that we don't know what to do, have him just walk up and down the street, put him in the mailbox, and move on.
Yep.
And I'm just saying.
So I just decided to relate that because that's kind of a funny story to me.
Anyway. I mean, I've had to, at Meadowbrook, ask the people who are our neighbors, could you not ride your dirt bikes for just this period of time? We've done it very politely. Not an issue. At the Inn at Mount Pleasant, we've told the neighbor, because his own daughter got married at the Inn at Mount Pleasant, so he's very aware of it. And he will say, what time will music start playing? So he mows the lawn literally right to that point in time. And then, once he sees you plug all your stuff in, Sam, he cuts it. He's good. And you want that type of relationship.
Absolutely.
Because no matter what, every town is going to have their own ordinances, rules, regulations, and every venue will have their own. The issue with the people in the hotel, what they're not thinking about, is if they didn't book the floors right above them, which they might not have even had the possibility to do, all of that music is going up. So all you're hearing is dunk, 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 dunk.
There was a facility that I worked at that they actually make the couple rent out those rooms that are right above. Those are the...
If they want to go later than the normal set time.
That's your bridal suite, and that's the rooms for mom and dad or whatever, but you have to book them out regardless. Yeah. And I think that's a good idea. If you want to party, you got to...
Well, like at the Inn at Mount Pleasant, sometimes we'll get people who will say, well, I just want to rent the barn. Well, great, but we can't rent the B&B rooms.
Because you're...
Those people who might be coming may not be wanting to come and to listen to you guys singing Sweet Caroline, Dum Bum Bum.
Right.
So
you have to rent the whole thing.
So you have to rent the whole thing. And those are things to take into consideration. The other part of it is that a lot of venues and stuff like that, there's a part of it that they don't have control over. Like we said, the town is meeting. They can come back and say, can we be grandfathered in for these type of events, which happened a lot in COVID when they changed the numbers. Everybody that weekend said, no, I can't cancel all these people. And they said, great, but you're grandfathered in, but in 2 weeks you have to make these adjustments. But it's an important part of any relationship with your venue to have that conversation. What are the rules and regulations right now? What am I following? What do my vendors have to follow?
Also, if your venue is in a residential area, you definitely need to ask that question. There are several facilities that are in Connecticut that are in residential neighborhoods that they tell you that you can only turn up the sound this high. And there's another one that actually has their own equipment installed. And they have it notched back. So you cannot go any louder. When the DJ comes in, he has to plug into those systems. So that will affect you and your responsibilities with your DJ or band or other entertainment, that they have to follow those ordinances and they have to use their equipment. Find that out in advance because that may affect
maybe your decision. You may decide, oh my God, this is not where I want to be. Because you don't know, and obviously there's some things that, and this has to be a little bit of leeway, and I keep saying this. There has to be some leeway for your vendors and your venue and for you because things can consistently change. I mean, we're booking 2023, 2024. I have no idea what the town is going to do at that point in time.
Exactly.
I have no way of telling you that there may not be one person who has nothing else to do in their life and they're going to change that you can't park on the left side, you can only park on the right side. I don't know.
And this is possibly what happened in that case in New York was that the couple and the parents had booked out this in advance, way in advance, because they knew they were going to, when you spend $150,000 on flowers, that's something that you plan well in advance.
Flowers.
And that was just flowers, yes.
Yeah, because I mean, I'm sure the dress was somewhere around this, and the food was.
So because it's so far in advance, and I guess I'm going to ask this question then, is it possible that a venue will forget that they booked these people and that the noise ordinance now takes in effect? Is that even possible?
I mean, of course it's possible. A lot of venues, unlike ours, they have a very huge turnaround. The person that you met with in 2020 may not be there in 2023. So
Good
what they
point.
agreed to, and this is why we say get emails, get things written. But in our contract with our venues, it very specifically states, this is what we're agreeing to unless the state of Connecticut or the town of whichever town we're in comes up with a new regulation. And when that happens, we inform you right away. But them or the town or the state changing it does not mean that we're breaking contract, but that's a whole other episode.
That's a story. So let me get into this, into the weeds a little deeper then. So because they didn't tell the client that these regulations had changed, what is the responsibility now of the client now that everything was done so suddenly? Does the client bear any responsibility for, I mean, the bride and the groom, when I say the client, because things changed?
Well, I mean, I think when you're like getting your marriage certificate, which is usually done 30 to 60 days out, I don't think it's a bad idea you're already in the town hall.
Right.
You can ask them. The question is, really, did they not get an update about what was happening? Because I have a hard time believing that.
So that's why I asked the question. They have to bear some responsibility.
Yes, and the venue. And they also, here's the other part. The venue offered them a solution. They didn't like the solution, but they offered them a solution. So like when we're at Meadowbrook Estates, sound travels in a really weird way. And we have to be 100% quiet at 11 o'clock. We've had to walk outside because people are arguing about God knows what. I mean, they're intoxicated. They're having a great time. They're staying here.
That noise travels.
That noise goes because there's nothing else going on in town.
It sounds like it's a wild party.
And we say you have to go inside. You have to go to our bottom level lounge area. And we make that really, really clear to them. That venue offered them a solution. They didn't like the solution, but they offered them a solution. I know that I visited a wedding town in Vermont. They have a very strict 10 o'clock weddings over. So what they do is literally, because they own like 4 venues in this town, they drive around with a school bus and they pick up every single wedding group and they bring them to the one bar in town that is allowed to party.
No kidding.
And they all end up in that bar. And they can continue to party on because they gave them a solution. So the question will be, did the venue give you a solution?
A sufficient solution, too.
And if you don't like the solution, then you can have the conversation of saying, how will I be discounted? Or can we start our wedding sooner?
There had to have been some sort of...
There is no way they went to their details meeting 10 days out, maybe a week out max, and this was not a conversation. There's just not. And if it wasn't a conversation, then the venue is 100% responsible for not having that conversation.
Good point. All good points.
But you as a couple are just as responsible of saying, has anything changed in town? You are at the town hall. Walk down to the town clerk office. Ask. You may not like what they tell you. And you may open up a can of worms, but you have to ask.
I like that. It's so true. And that's what some people don't want to do, is to delve into it any further because it might infringe on what they're going to do. And they don't want to do that.
In a future episode, you and I should discuss noise when you have a venue that has 2 or 3 parties going at the same time. Because those walls are not built the way you thought they were.
That's for another podcast.
Yes, it is. Okay, so thank you so much for joining us again for Be Engaged and Inspired, the Wedding Podcast. Remember, if you have any questions or comments, you can email us at engagect@gmail.com. You can also ask to be a guest with us. We don't mind.
We love it.
Yeah. We are also available now on Anchor, the Spotify network, now exclusively on the Wedding Talk channel, on YouShook.com radio, YouTube, Mixcloud, and everywhere where you get your favorite podcasts. Please download us. It's free. If you subscribe, you get it earlier, and we're here every single Wednesday. You've forced me to hang out with you for the last 4 years. Please download us.
And let's hear from Ruby before we go.
Thanks to our sponsors, EasyEventPlanning.com, Meadowbrook Estate, Emerge Cosmetics, Here to the Moon Travel, Destination Weddings Unlimited, Dollar Tree, Honey Fund, and the official new bride name change kit.
Now syndicated on the Wedding Talk channel on YouShook.com radio network, America's radio station.
Thanks, Ruby. Will I see you next week?
I don't know. maybe I'll just phone it in. Remember those days where I could just sit in my house and be like, Sam, nope, Sam, I can't hear you. Sam.
And I'll just do my show naked from my bathroom.
Yeah, hey, cool. As long as you're not doing it in front of me. Okie dokie. We'll be back next Wednesday.
See ya.
The Be Engaged and Inspired Wedding podcast is sponsored by EasyEventPlanning.com. They make planning any event fast and easy. EasyEventPlanning.com. This podcast is produced and copyright by Atmosphere Productions in association with Engaged Connecticut.